Okay, well, good afternoon or good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is healthy and safe. And it is a little gloomy here in Columbus today, but I hope where you are, yeah, the sun is shining for you all. We are here with Columbus Realtors. This is a great opportunity to have such a distinguished panel joining us today. We're going to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and the CARE Act, giving you some updates of what's taking place on a state level, local level, but also nationally. So we're very pleased to have with us this morning a very distinguished panel. From Columbus Realtors, our Vice President of Government Affairs, we have Brent Swander. From the National Association of Realtors, our Senior Vice President of Government Affairs, Shannon McCann. We also have Jerome Jones, United States Small Business Association, from the Columbus office, our Lender Relations Specialist. Everett Waddell, United States Small Business Administration, our District Director from the Columbus office, joining us today. So we're very excited to have you all on with us. We're going to have this a conversation and give our members a feel for what's taking place and an understanding. But I'm going to start with Shannon. And Shannon, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a couple minutes, 2 minutes of what you're seeing, what is taking place on a national level.
Great. Thank you so much, John, and great to see you all virtually this morning. And I hope that you are healthy, safe, and staying sane. I have my kids are being homeschooled in the room next to me. So if you hear what probably sounds more like wrestling than schooling, that's what's going on. So as you all are aware, there have been 4 different legislative responses to the pandemic so far. The first was the $8.5 billion medical response. The second was the Families First Act. The third being the CARES Act, the largest piece of legislation at $2 trillion. And then there was the CARES extension that was just signed into law over a week ago. So where things stand right now is that we're monitoring the Capitol Hill to see what is this next phase going to look like, with the top priority of ensuring that our 1.4 million members nationwide are continuing to be included in these responses. So right now we've got the Senate back in session. Committee hearings are happening. They're getting back to whatever the new normal will look like. The House is still meeting remotely through their caucus calls and engagement with committee chairmen on what that phase 4 response looks like. And what we're seeing is that phase 4 is probably signaling the end of these emergency responses and the beginning of new negotiations on a larger response and recovery effort. And with that large response, you're seeing a greater sense of partisanship coming into the process. So we're actively engaged, monitoring what these next few steps could look like, and also through the help of Joe Ventrone and our amazing regulatory team. They're working on implementation and ensuring that the independent contractors and self-employed who were included in these programs are still able to access funds and to work through them. So we're keeping very busy as we look forward to the next phase.
Shannon, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Everett, how about giving us 2 or 3 minutes on your thoughts, what you're saying?
Sure, absolutely. I'd like to thank everyone for allowing Jerome and I to be here. And John, I appreciate the time. Kind of taking a step back, as many know, it started back on the declaration on March 19th. I don't know if a lot of individuals are aware, but the Columbus District Office and the Cleveland District Office of SBA worked with the governor's office to align all the small businesses that were necessary for the declaration. Once that was achieved, there was 2 prongs to this process. There was the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. That was up and running within a couple days of the declaration. But then since, as Shannon has discussed, there was the CARES Act. Within that, for the Small Business Administration, was the Paycheck Protection Program, which was utilizing an existing program, and Jerome can speak to this a little bit as well, which was our 7A program. That was a program for small businesses to access capital that's been in existence for decades. It's been very well established amongst the banking community and the lending community. So the Congress basically utilized that platform to launch the PPP. To give you some idea on that program and how successful that has been, now please understand, I think everyone knows there has been times where the systems have been overwhelmed. I don't think anyone had any idea just how unprecedented this need would be and how many applications or applicants would be going into the system. But to put it in its perspective, the first round of PPP, which was $349 billion, the average loan size was $206,000, and 1.6 million applicants applied and were approved within the first round. Now, the second round came out recently. It's been in existence for just a little over a week now. We currently set at about $175+ billion that's actually been approved. In that, it's actually stepped up to 2.2 million loans or applicants, and that number has actually brought down the average size of a loan. So you're seeing the smaller businesses in the second round. The average size of a loan is $79,000. So obviously, there's well over 5,000 lenders. Many new lenders came to the program. Typically, your regionals like Huntington or your largest like Chase and Fifth Third and so forth, they've always been in the program. But we saw a lot of small credit unions and community banks step into a program that they hadn't been in for many years, or they had never participated before. So we're well over 5,000 lenders now in the system, helping provide capital to the small business as part of the PPP program.
Everett, thank you very much. Jerome, do you want to feed off?
Yeah, I can just piggyback off of what Everett said. This is really unprecedented. I know that the first round, there was a quote that we'd done more loans in 14 days than we had done in the previous 14 years. I mean, it's just staggering the amount of loans that were approved, and it demonstrates the great need for this program. And the second round is continuing to demonstrate that need. So, we're just pleased and proud that we can help the small businesses in our area, in our community, and in the country.
Excellent. Brent, on state and local level, what are you saying?
Thanks, John. I think, as I've been with the association for 7 years now, and oftentimes, or not oftentimes, that's probably a misquote, but sometimes we hear, what is the value of the association? And I think that now more than ever really shows the value of the advocacy and the unique agreement that we have between the local, state, and federal level with NAR. The work that has been done on a local, state, and federal level on behalf of our members, not only is the times unprecedented, but probably so is the cooperation and collaboration between the local, state, and federal, between our advocacy efforts. The work that Shannon and her team have done at NAR and the folks at Ohio Realtors have done, because of the CARES Act, there's parts of that where the state had to opt in, specifically in the unemployment, and we'll get into that in a little bit later. But the relationship that we have, the work that has been done, is tremendously a tremendous value add to our members. We're working with our local elected and public leaders every day by phone calls or text. We're currently monitoring second half property tax extensions here in Franklin County. Franklin County, among many other counties, there's 42 in Ohio that are either up for a full property reappraisal or a triennial update here in Ohio that we are in conversations with. Evictions have been held in Franklin County Court through May 11th, which is something else that we've been active in conversations with. And then on the state level, the work that they have done with the governor's office, being deemed essential, real estate being deemed essential in Ohio, obviously allows our members to continue their business operations. Unlike several other states where my colleagues across the country are fighting and working municipality by municipality, in Ohio we're blessed where Governor DeWine has taken a strong stance and really led the way. Because we see one uniform policy across the state of Ohio, which has really helped our members and consumers understand the dynamics in which we are working under. So again, I just think the collaboration and cooperation between all levels of advocacy and the advocacy that has been done on behalf of our members is not only are the times unprecedented, but this the advocacy efforts are really unprecedented as well.
Brent, thank you very much. And let me piggyback off of that with Shannon and Brent. Brent, you mentioned the importance of RPAC and the importance of our investment with our members. Yeah, this is a time that people may step back a little bit, but I'd like to have both of you just share with me how valuable it is today, right now, because we've actually seen it in action. We've questioned what are we doing? What are you doing for us? And here's a good example. So what is the importance today of really stepping up to the plate as a member of Columbus Realtors and the National Association of Realtors and Ohio Realtors? Shannon, I'll let you take that.
Sure. Well, thank you. And I was actually hoping to jump into to piggyback on what Brent said about just the amazing collaboration that occurs between NAR and state and local associations. So our advocacy group, our job, our mission is to support the policies and the policymakers who support our realtor members. And so our realtors are out there, they do the Vote, Act, and Invest programs. Our realtor party activities are all things that help us with engaging in the political sphere. But I also want to commend that this happens at the local level as well. The Columbus Realtors have such a great relationship with your local delegation between Congressman Steve Stivers, Joyce Beatty, Troy Balderson, all members who I worked with on Capitol Hill, and they really understand and they really work well together in that bipartisan purple area where we really shine as well. So when we're looking at how these policies are going to affect our members, who are the potential lawmakers who are working in this, we look at that Venn diagram of where you can see that bipartisan collaboration, and that's where we have those fantastic relationships, and we are definitely grateful for the Columbus Association for helping us get there with your delegation.
Hey, John, if you don't mind, if I could piggyback a little bit off of what was said on the collaborative part.
Absolutely, Everett, please.
So not necessarily within your association, however, I just wanted to point out collaboratively on the state and local and county level how important it was for everyone to come together when this all first started and the first declarations. That was a truly leadership at the governor's level. The governor, actually did reach out his staff to the SBA to bring our resource partners. Those include chambers and other associations to identify what was needed to meet the requirements for the declaration. And that was something that, that reached all the way down to a local, even a community level. And I guess I just wanted to reiterate what everyone was saying, that as this all started, it truly was a collaborative effort. And even going forward to better explain the PPP programs, the EIDL programs, and so forth, Jerome and I both have sat in on at least 5 teletown hall meetings for members of Congress to help provide. And some of those are your members as well that were calling into those teletowns. So that was something that, we worked even with the congressional delegation to make sure we were available to provide some of the understanding of how the program would work and some of the operating parts. So again, I just want to reiterate what both Brent and Shannon had indicated, that it truly was a collaborative effort from the very beginning, and it continues to be that way now, even with banks and SBA and banks and small business. So everybody is working together, and I think it's refreshing to see.
I appreciate that. That's great.
And John, can I just add one other thing? I apologize. And I think what's really important for our members to understand, when I talk, I always talk about public and elected officials, because I think a lot of times we get caught up, or our members think about those who are elected. Jerome and Everett are both public officials. They work for the United States Small Business Administration. And they're non-elected officials who are really making an impact and a difference in what we do on a day-to-day basis to really benefit our members. There are countless public officials who are working behind the scenes, who are unelected, who really are making a genuine difference. And so for as long as I've been here, I talk about public and elected officials, because it's both. It's both who are really making a difference and who really impact our members. So, to Everett and Jerome, who are on the call, who are public officials and unelected and really working on behalf of our membership, on behalf of our entire leadership, I say thank you. Because it's not just elected officials. It really is public and elected officials. And that's what our association on a state, local, and national, or local, state, and national do, is just to help advocate and work with all levels of government, both public and elected.
Excellent, Brent. Thank you very much. I'm going to shift here for a moment to Everett and Jerome, just talking about the SBA, the independent contractor, the 1099 employee. What are some of the steps? What do they need to look for, or who do they need to talk to help them through this process today?
Sure.
Jerome, would you like to take that? I think you're best positioned to speak on that.
I will. So the PPP program, Paycheck Protection Program, is administered through banks, through lenders, banks and credit unions, and some fintechs as of this second round. So PayPal, Square, Cabbage, lenders like that can also participate in the Paycheck Protection Program. For independent contractors, I guess the main thing they want to know is, how do they qualify their income? Typically for a small business, they would look at their wage line and divide that by 12 and multiply that figure by 2.5 to get their eligible loan amount. Well, for 1099 contractors, they would take line 31 on their Schedule C to determine their wage and income, divide that by 12 and multiply that figure by 2.5 to determine their eligible loan amount for the Paycheck Protection Program. 75% of that can be used for their payroll. 25% can be used for other monthly expenses such as rent and utilities, or mortgage and utilities.
Okay. If I'm a small team and my team is self-employed, is there another step that I have to get involved with to keep my team employed within the organization, if we're all 1099 employees?
So if they're all 1099 employees, they cannot be included on the wage line. They could apply for themselves, though, if they are 1099. So they would follow that same process, just do it for themselves. Only W-2 employees can be included for the Paycheck Protection Program.
Okay. That's the important part, John, is that it's W-2 employees. And I think that because the PPP program came out and specifically targeted and tried to help those sole proprietors and those 1099s. So they would, if you had other 1099s within your staff, they would then be eligible to apply for the PPP program on their own.
And then phase 4, and I'll turn to Shannon, what you're hearing nationally with the PPP, but how will phase 4 affect this moving forward, or will there be effect with this?
Sure. So first, when it comes to the congressional action on the PPP program, we had started this process even before the CARES Act, back before the Families First Act, to ensure that independent contractors and self-employed were included. You would think when it's the direct payments that were issued by Treasury or any of these other programs, that it would be a no-brainer to have 1099 employees or receivers in there as well. But it turns out that it was a brainer, and that there was some debate on Capitol Hill. I'm not going to name names, but we definitely had to go make the case for why you can't leave out such a significant percentage of the economy and of workers. And so we were successful in that. And so our goal moving forward is to ensure that as Congress continues to act, that these programs are protected. So before the CARES extension was passed just recently, we had been working with a bipartisan group of House members to call for some continued funding for the program. So that was led by a New Jersey and a Michigan congressman, and we had President Vince quoted in their press release. And so we are continuing to make the call that these funds are important to our members and that Congress should continue the funding for them. So going into phase 4, there has been a lot of discussion about an infrastructure-based package. So something like the Surface Transportation Bill serving as the vehicle for this legislation, pun intended. The Congressional Democrats have talked about a nearly $1 trillion infrastructure framework that would come out of their Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. That could include tax titles. It could include proposals from financial services. It could certainly include funding for state and local governments, and also issues like vote by mail initiatives for the in preparation for November. In the Senate, you're seeing a willingness to consider assistance to state and local governments in exchange for liability protections, especially for the healthcare industry, which is a big concern for many on that side of the dome. So as this comes together, it appears that the House is taking the lead. If you recall, they've kind of gone back and forth as to who is drafting this, and working with Secretary Mnuchin, my old boss, the Treasury Secretary, who's been negotiating these with the Speaker and with Senate leadership. So we're thinking that this specific package could slip into the June timeframe, given the concerns of coming to DC for a vote and what that may look like. But we have been throughout this process in touch with committee staff, committee chairman, to ensure that as these are coming together, typically the committees produce a legislative text, and then it goes into leadership, and then leadership determines what becomes part of the negotiations. One of the big issues we've been working on in this area is access to remote online notarization. So that is one that we have, the House, we just had a bipartisan bill introduced a few weeks ago, and there was already a companion bill in the Senate that had been moving. So we're working on specific issues that will impact the real estate industry and our members as they are continuing these negotiations for this very large Phase 4 package.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Shannon. Everett or Jerome, is there anything you'd like to add with what Shannon just shared with us?
No, and obviously we're on the ground here in Columbus, and the Columbus District Office, I guess it's a misnomer. It's really 60 of Ohio's 88 counties, so it's all central and southern Ohio. I would have nothing to add on the legislative side. We're here to implement once the members of Congress have passed the current legislation.
Okay.
Jerome, I do have sorry, John.
That's okay.
I was just going to say, I think that there might be some misnomers even on the PPP implementation side too, from our members, that we might be able to address in terms of, they have to have a relationship with their current bank, or they might be too small. I'm an independent contractor. I'm a sole proprietor. I'm too small. It's not worth my time. I think those are some of the things that we might be hearing too. And if you guys have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. And we did.
Okay,
go ahead, Jerome.
Well,
all I wanted.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jerome.
We do not have a minimum loan amount for that, and the SBA does not have a policy where the small business has to have a relationship with the bank. So that is not an SBA policy. Now, banks may implement their own individual policies as far as that's concerned, but the SBA does not have a policy that a small business has to have a relationship with a bank, or that the loan has to be a certain size. We are here to help all small businesses. That's what I have to say on it. Go ahead, Everett.
Yeah, so I really wanted to add is something that you did hear that, Brent. Individuals would say, well, X bank wasn't taking any new customers for the loans and so forth. So what SBA did, in particular what we did here in the Columbus District Office, we actually started calling our banks and identifying those banks that were accepting new customers. So we actually had that. So if we had a small business that called the district office and said, hey, I don't have a current bank, right? I don't have a lender. So what do? We actually were able to provide them with a list of banks that would accept them. In the second round, in particular, when the fintechs entered the market, they were accepting all new customers. They were open to anyone. So while you might not have had an existing relationship with a bank, that's not something we put in place. But obviously, we wanted to make sure that small businesses or 1099 sole proprietors had access to lenders. So we made sure that we kept lists on file that we could email immediately, knowing which ones were actively accepting new customers.
And Everett, continue with you. If you can give advice to our members that are self-employed, or Jerome, our members, what is that advice moving forward?
Just do your due diligence, review I know the EIDL loan program was one that was in existence in the beginning, was not funded to the degree that PPP was. This really was about keeping employees on payroll. But for 1099, this is an option for you. Do get with your bank, identify, if this makes sense for you. But I really do urge individuals to take a look at the program, because it has been very successful thus far. And something that Jerome said earlier, I want to reiterate again, is that we were able to do 14 years worth of loans. We typically do about 28 to $30 billion in 7A lending in a year. And we were able to do 349 billion in 14 days. So, I mean, that is a testament not to just SBA. We had to process stuff, but it really was the lenders that stepped up to the plate to help their small businesses access the capital they needed to stay open. So I think that was critical, and that goes back to that whole collaborative effort, that it was about the banks and government working together. Jerome, anything else you'd like to add?
No, you said it perfectly. It was a collaborative effort. We worked with the banks, and as a lender relations specialist, my main job prior to the CARES Act was to talk to small businesses about doing SBA lending. And that came full circle when PPP was introduced. So a lot of those banks continued to call in, and were very anxious and eager to get signed up to do SBA lending.
Excellent. And Everett and Jerome, if you could say something to both Columbus Realtors and the National Association of Realtors, Brent and Shannon, what is it that you need from us? What message do you need us to bring back for you?
I really would say just keep communicating. And Brent and I have known each other a long time. If there's something we need to get the word out on the program, and Shannon, you're in the middle of it in Washington. You'll know about these programs probably before us on a local level. But as these new programs, making sure we get the word out, because these realtors, they're small businesses too, right? So how do we help them succeed and survive this? It is an unprecedented event, and everybody keeps thinking businesses X this, right? It really is that small mom and pop shop. That's the one we've really been trying to target and get the funding to. And I think that we are succeeding in that effect. And really, if you guys could be there to help disseminate the information and get it out there as these programs become available, I think that would be extremely helpful to us.
And I would just add, tell your membership, don't be intimidated by the process. We're here to help. The lenders are here to help. If they're not getting the answers that they are comfortable with from the lender, feel free to reach out to us at the district level of the SBA. We're here to help in every way that we possibly can to get money into the hands of small business owners that desperately need it.
And Jerome,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Everett.
I just wanted to say, so everyone knows, is both Jerome and Dave, who are lender relations specialists for us here locally, they are bankers. So they came from the banking world with many years of experience. Jerome has credit union experience as well, helped building SBA programs and lending. So when they call and they speak to one of our lender relations specialists, they actually understand the lending world as well from the bank side.
Excellent. And is there a website, Jerome, that our members can go to and a phone number? And we'll post that?
Yes, our website, sba.gov, and our direct number to our office is 614-427-0407.
04. Great, and we'll post that. I really appreciate this. And thank you. And Shannon and Brent, and actually to all four of you, our members, 8,000 strong, we can deliver a lot of messages to small businesses. We can get out and see the small restaurants, the small stores, the beauty parlors, the hairdressers. Is there a message that we can deliver to our small business owners, not just our members, but because we're a great carrier of information. How do we deliver and what message do we give to the small business owners throughout our region?
Great. Well, I would love to direct our members to an important resource that NAR has. You can either text COVID-19 to 30644, and then you'll get a direct link to our resources and you'll receive any of the breaking news alerts, or go to nar.realtor/coronavirus. We have a frequently asked questions document on there that I think started at 3 pages and has quadrupled, if not more, since then. But it is also broken down into things like the PUA program and specific questions that we've been receiving. So that can be a great resource for any of those questions and general information about what our advocacy efforts look like in Washington. And more importantly, the message that we want to get across is to stay safe. As terrible as this pandemic is, we are seeing that the silver lining is that technology can bring us together, and realtors are used to working on their phones and working out of a car and having access to information all the time. And I think that we have those advancements that we have in our industry we're going to start seeing everywhere else, and it's going to still keep us together even in tough times.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon, very much. Brent?
Yeah, I think, we have ColumbusRealtors.com as well. ColumbusRealtors.com is actually a new webpage, /virus, where we have some information on there, and then as well as OhioRealtors.org. There is a great infographic that NAR has on their webpage. So SBA.gov is something I go to almost every day as well. On NAR.realtor/coronavirus, there is actually a great infographic that breaks down the programs that Everett and Jerome have talked about, the EIDL and the Payment Protection Program, the PPP. There's a great infographic on there that I will also share along for our members as well. In terms of small businesses and what we're doing in our communities, obviously, John, you hit the nail on the head. Our members are out and about. Well, hopefully they're staying at home now, but typically out and about in every community. They're the ones traveling and driving. They're small business owners, they're entrepreneurs. And in terms of small businesses, I don't think there's a greater group of folks who understand that we are in this together than our members. Small businesses helping small businesses, whether it's local restaurants, floral shops, barber shops, beauty salons. When we can figure out what that new normal looks like, I think our members truly understand what it means to be an entrepreneur and eat what you kill kind of mentality. And it's really important that we all understand that we are in this together from a local, state, and federal perspective with our public elected officials and all of our small business partners, from the Columbus Chamber to One Columbus, formerly Columbus 2020, the builders and the Apartment Association, and all of our collaborative partners. I again just can't talk about how much it means for all these industries and groups to be working together for one collaborative effort, and really working together is tremendous.
Excellent. Brent, thank you. And Everett.
Yeah, to close, I've tried to close every conversation I've had with this. We can support our small businesses and continue to support them by buying gift cards, ordering carry out. They are the economic engine. So obviously we need to do everything we can to help them survive this and get through these tough times. So I know my team, and we talk about it all the time, helping support them by buying those gift cards and ordering the takeout and so forth. They are 46% of all workers in Ohio work for small businesses. So obviously we need to do all we can to support our small businesses, and that's what we're trying to do here. And back to the contact, if you have any questions, those listening to this, please feel free to call the number and call the district office. We have answered all our phone calls. We make sure we return all messages. So we want to make sure that we stay engaged with our small businesses and those that have questions. So we stand ready to continue to help. So thank you very much, John. Appreciate you allowing us to be on this call today, because I think it just helps us get the word out as well, and we greatly appreciate that.
Well, we greatly appreciate your time, because we know how busy the four of you are. And Jerome, I want to give you an opportunity to share your final thoughts.
Yeah, sure. Everything that Everett said, and I want to place a shout out to our resource partners. One of our resource partners in particular that I know works very closely with small businesses, and I come from that world myself, and that's the Small Business Development Center around the state. We have a number of them. We fund a portion of their operation just for this purpose, and they are really working hard helping small businesses in Ohio and in the Columbus region as well. So
Excellent.
don't forget about that resource, and it's a free resource.
Really appreciate it. And we're going to post the website. We'll post the phone numbers on this video. We'll also be able to, the text, Shannon, that you shared with us, we'll be able to post that and make sure that our members know the resources that are available to them and where to go. Columbus Realtors is going to be doing something in the month of May. We're going to have a night on the town for a week, and it's going to be from your couch. We're going to encourage all 8,000 of our members to reach out to a small business, a small restaurant, and have dinner. We're going to have a little bit of a contest. The best picture, first, second, and third place will win a gift certificate. But we're going to support our small businesses, our small restaurants. So again, it'll be a night on the town from your couch, supported by Columbus Realtors. So we're very excited about that. So watch for that to be coming up very soon. We've really appreciate, I know this is extremely important to all of our members. We know how busy you all are. Again, Shannon McCann, our Senior Vice President of Government Affairs with National Association of Realtors. We have Jerome Jones, our Lender Relations Specialist with the United States Small Business Office here in Columbus. Everett Waddell, who is the District Director with the United States Small Business Association, the Columbus office, and Brent Swander, our Vice President of Government Affairs. This is invaluable to all of our members. We really appreciate your time and thank you for everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And the final words, I guess, will be, our PAC is vital. It is showing how much it's working for our members today. Now's the time to truly step up and support what we're doing on a state, on a city level, local level, and a federal level, making sure that your message as a member gets out to our leadership so that we continue to support the efforts of home ownership and shelter. So really appreciate everybody's time. We hope you stay safe. And let's just hope that the sun comes out and baseball is back on the field. So thank you, everybody, and we hope you have a great week.
You do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having us.